15 U.S. Code, subsection 1616. Board review of consumer credit plans and regulations. Let's see here what they got. Not later than 2 years after the effective date of this act, and every 2 years thereafter, except as provided in subsection C2, the board shall conduct a review within the limits of its existing resources available for reporting purposes of the consumer credit market, including the terms of credit card agreements and the practices of credit card issuers. I don't know how true that is because they still get away with what they get away with, and we won't speak further on that. Number 2, the board shall conduct a review of the effectiveness of disclosure of terms, fees, and other expenses of credit card plans. I don't know how they're doing that since they don't put conspicuous things where they should conspicuously be conspicuously. Okay. Number 3, the board shall conduct a review of the adequacy of protections against unfair or deceptive acts or practices relating to credit card plans, and whether or not and to what extent the implementation of this act and the amendments made by this act has affected cost and availability of credit, particularly with respect to non-prime borrowers, the safety and soundness of credit card issuers, the use of risk-based pricing, or credit card product innovation. Solicitation of public comment in connection with conducting the review required by subsection A, the board shall solicit comment from consumers, credit card issuers, and other interested parties, such as through hearings or written comments. Notice. Following the review required by subsection A, the board shall publish a notice in the Federal Register that summarizes the review, the comments received from the public solicitation, and other evidence gathered by the board, such as through consumer testing or other research. So, they have these hearings every 2 years, and they have these reviews every 2 years, and it is open for you to comment or write, and they will publish notices in the Federal Register. Okay. So I want to look those up personally. Okay. I'm not sure where we were at. They will publish a notice in the Federal Register that summarizes the reviews, the comments received from public solicitation, and other evidence gathered by the board, such as through consumer testing or other research, and either proposes new or revised regulations or interpretations to update or revise disclosures and protections for consumer credit cards as appropriate, or states the reason for the determination of the board that new or revised regulations are not necessary. Number 2, revision of review board following material revision of regulations. In the event that the board materially revises regulations on consumer credit plans, a review need not be conducted until 2 years after the effective date of the revised regulations, which thereafter shall be treated as the new date for the biennial review required by subsection A. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Okay. D. The board shall report to the Congress not less frequency than every 2 years, except as provided in subsection C2 on the status of its most recent review, its efforts to address any issues identified from the review, and any recommendations for legislation. The federal banking agencies, as that term is defined in Section 1813 of Title 12, let's go look. What are we looking for? Banking agencies? Federal banking agencies. We are looking for federal banking agency. We see bank. We see bank. Is that highlighted? Federal banking agencies. Federal banking agency. Office of the Comptroller, any national banking association, any federal branch or agency of a foreign bank, any federal savings association, any state non-member insured bank. Oh no, that's Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. So, yeah. So pretty much any bank. The federal banking agencies and the Federal Trade Commission shall provide annually to the board, and the board shall include its annual report to Congress under Section 247 of Title 12, information about the supervisory and enforcement activities of the agencies with respect to compliance by credit card issuers with applicable federal consumer protection statutes and regulations, including this act, the amendments made by this act, and regulations prescribed under this act and such amendments, and Section 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act, 15 USC 45, and regulations prescribed under the Federal Trade Commission Act, including Part 227 of Title 12 of the Code of Federal Regulations as prescribed by the Board, referring to as Regulation AA. Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll worry about AA. I don't know what do you think AA means. We're going to see which is next. After 1616. Hmm. It doesn't look like it goes to 1617, but let me see. No, it doesn't. We just want to make sure we're not skipping anything. Okay. We're in the 1600s. Consumer credit protection. Okay. So we're going to credit transactions, which is 1631. And we are on our way into getting to the good stuff. What I really, really want to do is billing. This is the fun stuff. Billing. So we're going to part B, credit transactions.